Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated.
We don't have a theme song yet, so you just get us.
Wait. You don't have a theme song? Then what's with that music? What just played? Is that a children's recorder band?
Will. As excited as these two guys are right now, I'd rather listen to what does the fox say.
Yip, 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 yip.
Doctor?
Doctor? Everyone, Doctor. Welcome to Every Man's Guide to Nerdom, where we are two 30 to 40-something-year-olds who talk about pretty much whatever we want. I'm Chris.
I'm Kyle. And you might know us online as Guyver, and K-Sig and Bronco is what I kind of go by.
Today, we actually have a very special guest, a friend of the show, Mr. Justin, who is a huge nerd. He is a huge Mystery Science Theater 3000 fan. If you probably didn't guess what today's episode's about. Justin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, like your background, what your interests are, your hobbies, your nerdliness?
Well, I was born on August 10th at 4:19 in the morning. Is that too much information?
No, keep going. This is dreaming.
We got all night. We can.
And when the nurses came in, they all sang Hallelujah, and the rest is history. So
who wouldn't?
But yeah, I see.
That paints an extremely beautiful picture in my mind right now. There's lights glowing and little cherubs floating around.
There's a halo.
It's true.
Halo.
But yeah, Oklahoma boy, born and raised, and so yeah, most of my pop culture nerdom came from just basically being raised by television and loving TV and movies and anything like that. And so, in fact, part of the studies and things like that in college revolved around like film. I thought I wanted to do some type of film critic, something or other, but I quickly learned that I needed to make money to live. And so that went out the door pretty quickly. But yeah, now I'm teaching English, college professor, doing that type of stuff. So what's really nice about that is I can infuse anything that I really want into my my lessons. And so it's a daily just infusion of pop culture, whether it's a little clip of this or that. So like this semester, I'm teaching Intro to Lit. And in that, I'm bringing in graphic novels, and I'm teaching Persophiles and Watchmen in there and doing some stuff. So luckily, I've got a job that allows me to really flex my nerdom and be able to have some fun with it too.
Where were you when I was in college? Well, I know where you were. I was at your house.
I was
a couple times, but
looking in your
as a professor, where were you? So that is freaking awesome.
But most of my nerdom is, DC. I love DC, Flash, as you could probably tell if you're watching this on YouTube. Star Wars, Doctor Who, Simpsons, South Park, just basically anything that makes me laugh or is sci-fi, then I am in. And that's why Mystery Science Theater is just a natural tie-in for me, because not only is you got that sci-fi, but you also have lots of laughing, of course. And so definitely me being here is an honor. Thank you for inviting me, and something I think I can talk quite a bit on.
Well, seriously, thanks for coming. The reason I wanted Justin to introduce himself is because you're going to be hearing a lot more of him. He'll be on more episodes. So we didn't want you to think he's some random stalker. I mean, he kind of is. But we want to give you a little sense of safety before he sweeps in for the kill.
You're going to tie in random stalker and safety into, that's how you're going to segue?
That's exactly how I'm going to segue into safety.
It flows in.
Because
build off that. If you guys want to be on the show, you can stalk me or Chris anytime. We love the attention.
That would be super.
That'd be great. If you just want to stalk us, that'd be super great. Right now.
So I think I'm looking through. Hold on, I'm looking through the notes. I forgot to set up the pickers, so I was doing that while Justin was talking. But I'm looking here, and don't we have a new sponsor today?
Yeah, we do. They came to us. Where did they come to us from? I think we got a mail-in request from this, which is kind of odd since we're a nerdy type show, and snail mail came through. And yeah, it looks like, let me see if I can get this pulled up. We do have a new sponsor for today's episode, and see if I can get that to run. Okay, and let's see. Yeah, let's we'll kind of roll to the new sponsor, and we'll be right back with you guys.
Have you ever gone to the store and gotten funny looks? Have you cleared a room and you think it's how you smell? Do you slowly start turning or going into the corner to sniff your armpits and hope people don't notice? The answer is no, it's not your smell. You're just ugly. Our sponsor today is Hey Fugly Paper Bags. What you do is rub your hands together first, then shake it, and then with the pre-cuts out, slide it over your head, and oh voila, you are a new person. No, you don't have to fear going out in public and be confident in your smell.
This is why we love sponsors.
Fugly Paper Bags. I feel like they found us after seeing the YouTube.
I think they have. I think it's the over month worth of growth I have on my face that makes me just still look dirty. So I could really use the Hey Fugly Paper Bags. I really could.
If you have this show now, they're probably going to drop you as a sponsor because.
Look, if you're not watching this episode, if you're just driving in your car listening, you are missing out on some luscious damn locks. I mean, I am extremely, here we'll just
go to the YouTube.
I'm so
video.
jealous right now of what's going on the bottom screen.
I mean, yours looks good for a molehill.
Yeah, I know. It just
it's great.
I'm gonna cry into my pillow tonight. Is what's gonna happen.
I think we're gonna have some sort of a hair plug sponsor maybe next week. I think he's flipping me off. I'm getting the death threat. So with that, Kyle, what are we gonna hit on first?
Well, we are obviously, today's episode we're talking about Mystery Science Theater 3000. Right. We're each going to talk a little bit about how we got into it, a little bit of the history of the show, some of the little intricacies of some of the little bits and things that happened during the show, in addition to the riffing, how the show evolved, how it progressed, some of the spin-offs and shoot-offs that came off of that, and the potential future of Mystery Science Theater.
Let me preference by saying that this is not going to be the only MST3K episode we're going to do.
No.
There's going to be a lot.
We could probably do episodes over episodes.
Which we probably will. This is just the, like with our role-playing episode, last week's role-playing episode, this is going to be the kind of, it kind of not really the broad overview, but because we're going to get in depth on some stuff, but it's going to at least introduce you to the show, and you're going to find out why we love it so much.
Mm-hmm. And why you should love it too.
And you better love it.
You better love it.
Get
off our broadcast. Just do it.
Get off our broadcast.
Get off our broadcast. Get off my lawn.
Get off our lawn. So, Justin, why don't you tell us how you came to find the show Mystery Science Theater 3000? How did you find it? How did you become a fan of it? Like, give us the whole story.
Cool. Well, like I mentioned, growing up, I loved pop culture and anything movies, toys, music, things like that. So basically, if it was in the zeitgeist, then I was all a part of it. And so, big part of that was just watching TV. So flipping through the channels one day, went across the Sci-Fi Channel and was like, what is this show? And there was a bunch of people I say bunch, there was three sitting in that theater making fun of this movie. And I was like mind blown because I do that too. And so I was instantly hooked with everything about it. So, went out and got VHS tapes, and if anyone needs an explanation of what that is, let me know. I got the VHS tapes, things like that, and the more I watched, the more I loved it because I didn't get like 80% of the jokes. And I loved that part of it too. Cause I was like, wow, I think it's like smart or something. Cause I was in middle school and didn't really get a lot of it. But, like many loves in the nerdom genre, um, it was almost a litmus test of friends. Hey, have you seen this? Do you want to watch it? Do you love it? And if people were like, this is stupid, it was typically either a girl I was dumping or someone I never wanted to see again.
It's a really good filter to run.
So yeah, basically just kept watching it and circulating it, and then into college, started watching the DVDs and getting all of that. And so, probably my favorite memory of watching MST3K was a bunch of friends from high school. We got together after we had gone to college, came back a couple years later, and I purchased the movie on VHS, and we sat Christmas break, watched the movie, and it was like the best thing about Nerdom. It was like we were just right back to where we were, a couple years previously, because we were all just sitting, watching, laughing. So I've got a very warm, special place in my heart for MST3K.
That's awesome. Maybe we should have backed up a little bit too before we asked Justin how he got into it, to explain what exactly Mystery Science Theater is. Because I just realized we never explained that.
Oh, you should just come over, like if you guys haven't, you don't know, just come to our house. We'll show you.
We'll show you. I guarantee you, we all have tons of it.
Mm-hmm.
So the premise is that these evil bosses, they're mad scientists, don't like their worker, who could be Joel or Mike or now Emily. We'll get into all those later. They don't like them, so they shot them into space to perform an experiment to see what happens when you send and make them, the employee, watch the worst rated B movies of all time. And they're trying to monitor his mind. It says so. Everything's in the theme song, which is just brilliant. And he can't control where the movies start or stop because he used the parts to make two robots. That's Tom Servo and Crow T Robot, who riff the movies with him. I don't know if he made Gypsy and Cambot with that. I think Cambot came maybe with the ship. I don't remember. The ship's called the Satellite of Love, and they monitor, they do invention exchanges. Awesome premise for a show because the movies are just so terrible.
Yes.
I mean, do you guys have anything to add to any of that?
No, I think you hit that pretty well in the head. I'm thinking Cambot and Gypsy. Cambot for sure was probably already on there because I'm assuming Cambot is monitoring the activities on the Satellite of Love for the Mads below. Gypsy, I don't know. Maybe Gypsy just always has been. Maybe she's just
Any thoughts, Justin?
That the thought that Gypsy just always has been is probably the deepest thought we're going to hit today.
It is. We could actually end it right now if we wanted to.
Add to that.
Thanks. Thanks you. So how I got into it was actually I want to say I was in middle school and I was over at my friend Matt's house and he had some tapes of it. And these were recorded off of Comedy Central because it started off as a little small thing in Minnesota and then went on to Comedy Central. And that's where I learned of it. And then we just started recording tape after tape after tape, the Turkey Day specials, just all the specials. And that's how I really started getting into it. And I just remember watching Pod People on recorded VHS tape. Mitchell. Mitchell, if you guys aren't watching, there we go. That's a Mitchell shirt.
Pounding.
Hot merging action. Veins clogging. But that's how I really got into it. And it's just been over since then. Like I tried to get all the box sets. I've got all the DVDs. Now that they started re-releasing them in Blu-ray, I started getting the Blu-rays. So that was really my introduction into them. And I've loved them ever since. And it's really eye-opening to find something like Justin was saying that you do at home, except they do it and way better than you do.
Way better.
Mm-hmm.
Way better. It's just fun. So Kyle, how'd you get into it?
Kind of same thing as Justin. I think I was roughly middle school, and where I lived at my mom's place. At the time, I don't think we even had satellite then. We lived like way out in the country, and we had to move the rabbit ears and all that shit around. But when I would go visit my grandma, she had cable, so I could flip through, and I caught it randomly one day, and I was like, okay, this is cool, and kind of watched a little bit, and then I think it was maybe a few weeks later, I go visit my dad. And he lived in town, and he had cable, and it came on. It would come on Sunday mornings, if I remember right. And so that was like, that's like a really good memory for me. Was every other Sunday waking up and then going there and waking Dad up, like, hey, Mr. Science Theater's on. We gotta watch it, And we would just like make breakfast and sit around and watch whatever episode was on at the time. And then I think I had I think it was like a Thanksgiving or some family get together. We were at my grandparents' house on my dad's side, and they were playing the Mystery Science Theater movie on probably Comedy Central or Sci-Fi at the time because they had satellite. And so me and my dad like, yeah, we got to watch this. So I put it on. My grandma and grandpa watched, and I remember distinctly the scene in the movie where the plane was like going down. The plane was crashing. So the Mystery Science Theater, the movie. And he has yes, Justin knows what I'm talking about. He has the joystick, and he's like wiggling around. So all you see is his crotch and the joystick for the airplane, and it's wiggling. And they're like, should we be seeing this? And I'm trying to figure out if I should laugh or not because my grandparents are there, and I had my grandma behind me. I hear her just cracking up laughing, and that grandma's like basically Kitty Foreman. So I hear that Kitty Foreman laugh behind me, and she is losing it. And so I watched it a lot then. I watched it some in college. I went and got one box set, which I still have to this day, which is volume 4, that has Space Mutiny and Overdrawn at the Memory Bank.
Memory Bank, yep. Is that the girl in gold boots too?
Merlin's shop, if I remember right.
I think Hamlet's on this one.
So,
Hamlet?
I think
Let's
Hamlet's
look it up
on
real
both.
quick.
He's just gonna go.
Justin's gonna go get
shelf.
it. Yeah, mine are buried underneath a whole bunch of stuff, so I can't look.
It'd be that
Look
red
at that.
one there. I think it's the red one.
Give me just a second.
Because now
Look
we
at
have
that.
to see. Oh my God, he's freaking nerd flexing on us right now.
I will.
Oh,
I will have
Why-
to find all mine just to.
why could we not
show
record this
them.
at his place? Look at all that. We wouldn't have got anything done. We would have been going through
Okay,
all that.
Space. I know. Space Mutiny, Overdrawn at the Memory Bank, Girl in Gold Boots, and Hamlet.
Yep.
Okay, so which one did you want me to look at?
Good God. 4.
It's. I'm pretty sure it's at the bottom of your stack. It's a red case.
Actually, I think it
Mine's-
is at the bottom.
There you go. So for those listening, I am doing the dick move of pulling out all of mine. So Girl in the Gold Boots, Hamlet called it, Overdrawn the Memory Bank, and Space Mutiny.
Which
Yep.
4 is a great set to start with. If you're starting
Mhm.
anywhere, that's probably one of my favorite. Overdrawn at the Memory Bank is a classic that has the late great Raul Julia in it.
So good.
It's,
And I
yep.
think it was like a TV movie in like Canada or something.
Oh, I've
That's
got some
about
stuff on Canadian Mystery Science Theater and
Hey,
and
and that's coming
celebrities
up.
in episodes and things. But yeah, that's how I got into it. And then did the same thing when I got to college. I had that one box set, and that's all I had. And then some allegedly nefariously acquired copies of episodes that we would watch all the time. So I introduced my roommates, and still to this day, I can call my old roommate Frank, and I'll be like, you got anything? What's going on? You got anything going this weekend? He's like, I got my dad's Enforcer for the weekend. And it's been 15 years since we lived together, but we still, that's the thing, we still quote it to each other, and I try to just watch whenever I can now.
That's awesome. I'll still call my friend, one of my buddies, randomly and just go, we're on a collision course to wackiness, and just hang up on him.
One of my college roommates, anytime we're talking, he'll say something, and I'll be like, "It's."
We just rewatched Pod People too. It stinks.
So yeah, there's endlessly quotable, but especially if you got friends, that love it too. I mean, endlessly quotable. So much fun.
Idiot control now.
Yeah, I've got, just from going back and thinking about episodes and things that I watched, I've got the Master Ninja theme song stuck in my head again. Because that was another thing with another roommate. Like, he would just like randomly call me at 2:00 in the morning after he was drunk, and like just all I would get was a message like Master Ninja theme song, and then just like hang up really fast.
I love Master Ninja. And if y'all haven't caught on yet, we're gonna quote the shit out of this show the whole time.
Yes.
So if you don't know what we're talking about, you need to do yourself a favor and start catching up.
You did on the Pluto. There's an entire channel dedicated to it on Pluto TV,
and it's free. Twitch also runs it nonstop too.
So this episode is not sponsored by Pluto TV or Twitch,
but if y'all want to pay us to do it, we will.
We will.
Yeah.
I don't think these face bag things are really going to pan out. So
no, I don't think they are either. So let's get into the history of MST3K. It started off as it was produced by Joel Hodgson, and Best Brains Inc. The show premiered on KTMA, which is now WUCW in Minneapolis, Minnesota, on November 24th, 1988. Then the next year, in 1989, it got picked up by Comedy Central, and it ran for 7 seasons before it just got ultimately cut in 1996, which I'm sure that was devastating for all of us. Joel started off as a comedian, and he was one of the hot new comedians, and he actually got offered a pilot with Michael J. Fox in, I want to say it was NBC. I might be getting this wrong, but he didn't think the script was funny enough. He said, I can do this a lot better, in the very sleepy, non-excited Joel voice.
Deadpan.
Deadpan. I can do this better. And that's when he started writing Mystery Science Theater. And that's just a little bit of the history of it, because then he brought on, as the writers, there was, J. Elvis Weinstein, who played Dr. Larry. Was it Larry? He went by, or did he go by Lawrence or Larry?
I thought it was
Earnhardt.
I think it was Lawrence, right?
Yeah, I think it was. And he was also the original voice of Tom Servo.
I forgot there's been some iterations and changes there.
There's been a lot of iterations. He was one of the early writers with it.
I'm talking about the voices for Servo.
Oh, yeah. There's been 3 voices for Servo. No. 2. And then 2 for Crow. Let's go through so we went through that. Let's go through the cast real quick so people know who we're talking about. First, you have Joel. Joel was the original employee that they shot into space. He's the one who created the bots. He's the original Riffer. He is the show's creator. You guys jump in, just start naming characters and explaining about them.
You're gonna put us on spot now.
I am gonna put you on the spot, damn it.
You were doing such a good job. I was just listening.
Mesmerized. Well, you have to go with Tom Servo and Crow after Joel, because those are, of course, the main people. So the 2 robots that are stuck on the satellite love. So Kevin Murphy, I know, was Tom Servo, or the Tom Servo that I know. Let's say.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Crow has actually been a couple of different people. But I think Bill Corbett was the original, or one that I can't remember if he was the original in the one that I'm used to, or but there's also I wrote it down, Trace
Blue.
There you go.
Yep.
And so it's really hard to talk about anything MST3K without really getting into those guys too, because they also helped to write, also voice, and were so in the show. So
Bill Corbett was number 2. He was the one who took over, because Trace was the original Crow, who was also Dr. Forrester. When Dr. Forrester went off the show, that was the end of Crow's voice. So that's why they had to switch.
Mhm.
There you go.
Let's see,
And
so when
then-
Forrester went off, is that when Pearl came on?
Mm-hmm. But who was with
Was-
Forrester first?
Who was with Forrester first?
Turned into energy.
Frank.
Yep, TV's Frank.
So yeah, Frank was, and I'm one that was never a huge Mads fan.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk more about that when here in a
Mhm.
bit. But so I didn't pay as much attention to them as I did Joel, Michael, and Mike, and then the robots and all of that. But yeah,
Right.
it was always pretty funny. Even though I didn't really like the Mads that much, I really liked Frank.
Oh, Frank is
found-
amazing.
What I found is I think you have like two people when you have two types of people when they watch Mystery Science Theater. You have the people that they're going to watch from when the opening crawl rolls until the end of the credits, and they're going to watch all the mad scenes and all the bits and everything. And then you have the people that are going to skip all that and like, I just want to watch the movies and I just want to hear these guys riff and make fun of it, which I'm going to watch all of it. But I kind of try to judge the audience that I'm introducing it to. Like, maybe that's a little much for me because, you usually have a good, 15 minutes lead-in time before you actually get to the movie. And you're like, no, I promise. This is the funny part when they're going to get to watch the movie, and when they see the intro, it's like, this isn't anything like what you were telling me about at all. It's like, just go with it, and you'll get in the flow of it.
Yeah.
But,
for those neophytes that aren't familiar, so Mads, when we say Mads, it means the mad scientists.
yes.
And
Thank you. Yep.
The episodes are set to where if you haven't watched it in MST3K, it's not just the movie and that's it. But you have a storyline that goes with whoever is stuck there with the robots, the mad scientists making them do something. So it's not just the movie; it's intersected with other things going on to give it more of a robust, if you will, entertainment. And so, if you're not familiar, that's what we're talking.
Thank you, Justin. That's actually
That was
I
that
didn't
was
even
beautiful
think
and
about
great, yes.
explaining that yet. I'm tearing up a little. Werewolf? Tharwolf?
Wait, is that Mystery Science Theater? I thought that was Young Frankenstein.
There was-
Werewolf.
Werewolf. Werewolf. And then you introduced Pearl, so go ahead with the Pearl explanation.
Okay, so Pearl was actually, I want to make sure I get this right. She was the grandmother?
Nope.
Was her mother of Clayton, grandmother of King? Okay, so King comes later.
Dr. Forster.
Yeah, so she was the mother of Dr. Force. I liked Pearl.
I love Pearl.
Personally, she may have been out of, I think, all the Mads. Pearl might have been my favorite. And a few episodes where there's some, a little cringy, but that all of them had some cringy moments with the bits and the Mads and things like that. But she was played by Mary Jo Pell.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see, when did she pop in? Originally would have been season 7, so she didn't come along until a little over halfway through the run. And I think when Pearl came along, that's when we had Bobo and Brain Guy pop in very shortly after. And
Bobo and Brain Guy were both characters from 2 of the movies. Might I add?
She also wrote as well, and so if you see them on tour and things like that, you'll sometimes see Mary Jo on the tour riffing with them and things like that. So
Yep.
she is good.
Most of the cast on this show were also writers. I'm going to add too, because they weren't a huge production team.
No, you could tell like some of the bits and scenes they probably pulled the catering guy over, like, hey, we're going to throw this wig on you because we need you to do something random really quick. I think what was it in Space Mutiny when they had Mike Downs, the accountant, in the mad scene. Like, you could tell, like, that guy, he wasn't an actor because he can't keep from cracking up like half the time through it. So like Chris said, it wasn't a big production. That was just dudes and gals around the set that they had to pull in for a lot of different random things.
Mm-hmm. So, and then you also have Bridget Jones, who is also known as, anyone know this one?
The person that writes diaries.
Yes, she does have a diary. Justin for the win.
Oh,
No, what else? Oh,
yeah, I'll be damned. Hold on, now I'm scrolling through the wiki now because you guys perked interest here a little bit.
she played some characters on the show. You get anyone? Bridget Jones Nelson. She's married to
married to Mike.
Mike. They've been married a long, long time. She was also one of the writers for the show.
I did not know that.
She and Mary Jo were on Cinematic Titanic, and they're two very, very funny ladies. So we'll get into Cinematic Titanic also, but everyone on this show was just, in my opinion, just brilliant. You know, some of the jokes are hit or miss. You know, it's like any comedy thing, but a lot of the stuff, when it hits you, it just hits you hard. Mm-hmm. Like some jokes you cannot stop laughing at. Like we'll take Mitchell, for example, the shirt I was wearing. One of the jokes on there is they're driving onto the highway. This is Joe Don Baker. We'll get into Joe Don Baker later too. They're getting onto the highway and they're sitting here. I mean, they're riffing the hell out of this. They're going, wow, they might hit speeds up to 35 miles an hour because it is the slowest chasing scene you've ever seen.
Even uses
it. Yeah, and he uses his blinker. They go, that's nice of him.
Yeah, being chased.
And then as he's getting on from the merging ramp, they go, hot merging action. And like, I remember the first time I ever heard that and I just died. Mitchell will be its own episode because Mitchell's a good cop.
Yes.
He's a good cop. Justin will be back for that one, definitely.
Oh my gosh, yes. I think like that was when I was watching MST3K, the movie, with the friends that I referenced earlier, and they unpacked the interocitor, and there's all these parts everywhere. And so the nerdy scientist guy is like, oh, there's 1,000, 999, 9. And it just like every time you take a walk, they would make a sound. And I like, for some reason in the moment, I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so hard because it was this on-running joke, and I'm a sucker for on-running jokes. So,
one thing I've caught from watching, like, there's a lot of, especially I guess from the time frame that those episodes record, like I said, late 80s into early 90s. You know, I was, you know, when it was in its prime, I was like, what, 12, 13 years old. So there's a lot of pop culture references that I didn't get. Like, I don't know this person they're referencing, but you would still laugh because of their delivery, like how they said it. You would have no clue what the hell the joke was about, what they said, the person they're talking about, nothing, but you would still laugh your ass off because their delivery was so on point. The timing was so good that you found yourself laughing at shit that you had no idea what was going on.
So I think that's what probably one of the biggest challenges today is going to be for people who are, we don't have to worry about any of the younger crowd listening to this podcast because, well, frankly, Justin, we looked at the demographics and we definitely have a demographic, and it's between, what was it, 34 and like 45, I think.
Yeah, like 66% male, age 34 to 45. So like us.
Yeah.
Like which, you know,
but we do have a female base
over and over again,
which is amazing. Thank you, ladies. We really appreciate you.
Yep.
As a thank you, next YouTube and podcast, Chris is going to go with his shirt off the entire time, just as a thank you for you ladies.
We want them to continue to listen and watch.
That's the thank you?
I might go pantsless.
With pasties. We'll be
with pasties. With pasties.
Oh, we weren't doing that this week? Okay. Sorry.
Take them off.
Put them back on.
But I don't even know what we're talking. Oh, so the younger crowd, if you go rewatch some of these earlier episodes, it might be harder for you to get the references. Like Kyle was saying, I don't get some of the references. Like they were talking, and Mitchell, we'll go back to Mitchell because I'm wearing the shirt. They were talking about Johnny Mathis because this guy apparently looks like a singer named Johnny Mathis. I've never heard Johnny Mathis when I watched Mitchell for the first time. I have later in life, not when I was, 14, but it was just hilarious the way that they did it.
Yeah. And I think
Just the delivery.
rewarding parts of the show too is that you can watch it at any age and then watch it again like 2 years later, 5 years later, whatever, and it's almost a new movie because you start getting so many more of those jokes. And it's like, I got it. And so it keeps, I guess, reinventing itself, if that's a thing.
Like Weird Al.
Yeah, there you go. So that's why I think one of the beauties is that you don't get a lot of it maybe that first time, but that second time you get a little bit more, third time, and then once you get some age and maturity on you, like that really handsome demographic of this podcast, then yeah, it makes
He's
sense.
not lying. If you guys are listening, you need to find the YouTube channel. It's we average out to one handsome man.
So 3/4, one. So can I ask you,
I'm a quarter of a man.
host of the hosts, who is your favorite?
Like cast member?
Well, I would say, okay, yeah, let's do cast member or host.
We're doing the Mike and Joel debate.
So I guess we could throw Jonah in there too. We haven't gotten to that just yet, but yeah, who's your favorite overall? It could be host or cast member.
That's really hard.
I mean,
'Cause
I'm partial to Joel because that's the time frame I started watching it, and that's where I caught the most of it. But as I went, I've grown to appreciate. I'm partial to Mike, but as I went back and started rewatching it, Joel really kind of resonates with me a little bit more. I started, like, at first I didn't get his sense of humor, and now as I go back and watch it more, and like, okay,
very dry.
Yeah.
So
what do you think?
that's a really tough one because I love both of them. I love Joel and Mike, but I'm an original. I watched it from the OG original generation, so I'm gonna have to lean a little bit more towards Joel because I like his dry sense of humor. I like his sleepy demeanor. And just the way he just delivers stuff. But don't get me wrong, I love Mike. I love Mike with all my heart. But I think if I was forced to choose, I would lean a little bit more towards Joel. Just because I love his delivery and and he's the creator.
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of my guy. And he's the first host that I've ever seen. So what about you?
Well, sad to say you both are wrong. The correct answer is Captain Picard. So, it was right there in front of you. And no,
it was there the whole time.
Damn it!
I think where you come in, I see the host as kind of like the doctor. Where you come into the show, I think that's your favorite. And so Mike was always my favorite because that's where I came into the show. But as you talked about, going back and watching Joel, it's like, okay, now I understand a little bit more of his delivery and his demeanor throughout that, which when I was younger, I really didn't get that really dry wit. Definitely. But yeah, if I was going for a host, I would definitely say Mike, and then anything in the cast, I would go with Gypsy and Servo. So those two.
Nice.
For some reason, I was never a Crow fan, even though he's funny. I think it's one of those things where I was just like, you know what, Servo all the way.
Servo.
Because I'm stupid. So
if I had to go with the bots, I would go with Servo also, just because Kevin Murphy and his singing voice, just the random songs he would bust out into, loved him. And then I'm a big Pearl fan too. Like I love Pearl, just her delivery. And just the way she pulls off that queen of mean, I love Pearl.
I love her Winnebago. So.
I do love the Winnebago. I forgot about that.
I would say
she chases.
Out of the bots, I think I liked Servo, quite a bit because he was more mobile. Like a lot of the scenes and stuff, Crow's kind of stuck to the chair. But Servo would be, you'd have those few episodes where he was just all over the place, and I'm giving Servo points just due to mobility.
I'll tell you on that. No, go ahead, Justin.
I was just going to ask, did it ever weird you guys out whenever you're watching and it looked like Crow was looking actually back at you? But
yes, with those dead eyes.
So that's
Oh,
a
God.
change about Crow. But yeah, whenever you watch any of the shows, you'll see him like look forward, but the way that his head is shaped, it actually looks like he's looking back at you. And then you don't know until he turns like sideways that it's like, oh, so it's a
I'll
weird
never be able to unsee it.
Yeah, yeah. I just know. Did you see Kyle's eyes? It
I'm
hit
like,
him.
I
Now
think
he's gonna
about
go
it.
back and watch us, and he's gonna go.
Am I being riffed? Are they looking?
Maybe. So I'll tell you, one of my favorite parts, one of my favorite episodes was, I want to say, was it Prince of Space? It's with all the Kens.
Mm.
And the guy, they go, does he have cotton balls in his mouth? Because he had the big old cheeks. And then every time he'd come on screen, Joel would stand up and just start like rubbing his cheeks, like every single scene. And I just remember losing it every single time. Like that's the kind of humor I love, though.
It always blew my mind whenever they started interacting with the actual screen, and I was like, oh, that's genius.
Yeah.
Do something, try to take something away from or block or do this.
Yep.
It's like, oh, that's genius. Why didn't I think
Yeah. And when they start yelling no and covering it, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep. I agree. So we're going to a roundabout way again. This is why we have talking points, because we're going to eventually come back to them. So we're going to talk about the Mads. So the history of the Mads comes from, hold on, I got to find that webpage again, because I think I got off of it. It's actually really interesting how Joel came up with it. You guys talk about something while I try and find this again. Damn it.
I think we should
All right, good talk.
All right, we got it. How's your day? How's the weather?
manly Chris looks with that beard. That's what we should talk about.
Yeah, this is I've been growing about as long as Chris has been growing his.
Oh shit.
To get to this point.
You know, if there's anything, there's not enough bearded white guys or bearded, Asian men on the internet. So I'm
No,
glad
not at all.
There's a reason for that.
as
Yeah.
as three bearded men in our demographic of 34 to 45.
Yeah, I think I'm really helping fill that void of chubby bearded white guys on the internet that's been empty for so long.
There's a vacuum almost.
Mhm.
Okay, so I can't find the stupid page, but so we'll basically go over it. So every Mystery Science Theater show is 90 minutes. No more, no less. And the Mads were, again, the ones who shot Joel and Mike into space because they didn't like them to run the experiments. You started off with Lawrence and Dr. Forrester. And then it became Dr. Forrester and TV's Frank. And then TV's Frank ended up, Torgo, I believe, came and took him into space, took him and turned Frank into pure energy. Is how Frank left the show. So every time someone left the show, they had this huge send off. They had to figure out some way to get them off the show. When Joel left the show, they found an escape pod in a box of crackers, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I believe that's what it was. And Joel went off, and so they shot Mike into space.
Which happened on the Mitchell episode.
Yeah, it was the Mitchell. It was the end of the Mitchell episode, wasn't it? And then Mike's first episode was the brain that wouldn't die, I believe.
You got it.
So once Frank left, that's when they introduced Pearl.
That's Pearl.
Hey, good job, Kyle.
Yeah, I found the webpage. So
Yeah, good. Okay, so you go on from there then.
so you had Dr. Forster and Pearl both in season 7. Pearl came on in season 7, rolled into season 8, and let's see.
Season 8's where they started on Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi ended up picking them up.
Sci-Fi, and then Bobo and Brain Guy came in. Let's see if it was in season 8. It was between season 8 and season 10. As Pearl's kind of kind of slapstick lackeys that couldn't do anything right. The extra like they needed more comedic relief. There was more comedic relief with Bobo and Brain Guy, and they were around from season 8 through 10. Season 10 was the final season before the reboot, if I'm correct.
That sounds right.
And then you had the Netflix reboot with Kinga Forrester, who would have been the daughter of Dr. Forrester, granddaughter of Pearl. And then Max, who was TV's son of TV's Frank.
Yep.
Max was played by who, Chris?
That was Patton Oswalt. And Kinga Justin was Felicia Day, Nerd Kryptonite.
Is it? Do I lose my Nerdom card if I tell you that I'm not a huge fan of hers?
And Justin, it was great having you on the episode. Thanks for playing.
Not a huge fan of her on the show, or just in general?
In general, I don't know what it is.
She was amazing in Buffy.
Well, Buffy, okay. Buffy, she was good. Supernatural, she's good.
Yep.
I'm wondering why I even think. You know what? I'll really look into.
You come back to that because there will be. We're doing an episode on Buffy.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, I'm gonna struggle so hard on that one. That's fine.
You can just reference the Christy Swanson movie, and then
I'll just be the guy that looks shit up that episode. So
it's like I really like the episode with
the
vampire.
Clickety. There was some vampires, and there was
something about Hellmouth.
Pee Wee was around for a little bit, I think. And so, yep, I just wrapped. I mean, I should have saved that. Now I've got nothing for that.
And I'm spent.
Well,
it's a good thing I gave you access to an account that has all seasons of Buffy in it too.
I've got more homework now than I did when I was in college.
You're welcome.
So much stuff. I'm semi kept up. I've got it like a C.
Kind of. So Justin, I know you said you're not a big fan of the Mads, but out of all the Mads, who are your favorites and why?
I would say probably Pearl, and then Bobo after that. So I liked Pearl because she was funny, and she also, believe it or not, even though for those that aren't familiar with it, the Mads were pretty much a one-dimensional character. They were just there, but Pearl actually had an arc to her story.
Actually, she did, didn't she?
So I think that was pretty interesting to have. And then Bobo, I've always been a huge Planet of the Apes fan, and so seeing a pseudo Planet of the Apes that looked like the Charlton Heston version of Planet of the Apes was kind of fun because, again, sci-fi, I'm in. And so having it, another weird Nerdom sci-fi piece into this huge overall Nerdom sci-fi piece was just brilliant. So I'd say those were probably my two things. What about you?
Kyle?
I like Pearl. I like Pearl a lot. Her delivery was good. Her facial expressions she didn't try to sell it too hard. Like, she wasn't too far over the top. Like, occasionally, maybe a little bit, but she played the part really well. She was she had a great delivery. She had great timing. I loved anything with her in it. Brain Guy, maybe not so much. Brain Guy kind of brought me down a little bit. I'm not a Brain Guy fan. He was there. He served his purpose. I'm not going to talk bad on him, but I would have rather just more or less Brain Guy.
So I am, like you guys already heard, I'm a big Pearl fan. I love Pearl. Just like everything mentioned above and what I talked about before. She's just a great character, and her delivery is just amazing. And I'm a big Frank fan too. Like, I should rephrase that. I'm a big TV's Frank fan. Just because I love the way that TV's Frank did his lines, delivered just kind of the high nasally way he talked sometimes. I love Frank. Everything about Frank. He actually is extremely I'm part of a Mystery Science Theater group on Facebook, and he's actually pretty active in that.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And fun fact. So another one of my favorite episodes is Manos, the Hands of Fate. The daughter of the master, who was the little annoying girl in the Manos. She's like, Kitty, come here. No. She is actually in the group also.
What?
And she's active. And I've gotten to, she liked a couple of my comments and I was like so happy. But she's written a book about her dad and her time on Manos, which that's on my bucket list of one of the things to read. But yeah, she's actually in the group. So you just never know who's going to show up in these Mystery Science Theater groups, like who's fans, who's not, you know, and just who you may meet just out of the blue. Like I would have never thought that I'd get to talk to her or, you know, see Frank in our group, someone who I grew up watching on TV.
I think it's one of the best things about the writers, the cast, the crew, all of that is that watching the show, and especially watching interviews and things with them, they are genuinely good, funny people that love their fans. And so, I mean, and really it just shows through the writing, it shows through the production, it shows through everything that they may not have very much money, but they're going to put everything into it because they love it as much as we love it. And they love it as much as we love them. And it's such a cool dynamic whenever you do get to see interviews with them, or if you go to a live taping or something like that. It's such a cool dynamic. You know, they say never meet your heroes, but in this case, man, it was really cool to see them live and then do a lot of that because they were the actual people that I thought they were.
Which is awesome.
Kind
Kyle?
of talking about them doing it live, and Chris has some stuff in here about the process and like the time commitment that they had to be able to kick these episodes out. You know, you get you're watching, you're thinking, you know, they're doing this in a one-off kind of take thing, which obviously they're either able to do or, you know, they have it really well rehearsed for live shows. I still haven't got to see a live show. That's on my list to go do.
It was amazing, and I'll talk about that in a little bit.
But tell us a little bit about the process, Chris, and what you found through your research.
So they had to watch these shitty movies for hours and hours and hours and hours. Like what was it? Pee-wee's Big Adventure, when he keeps going hand over. That was their process pretty much, because you know, sometimes I saw a interview with them where they were talking. Sometimes the jokes would just come like that, just with a snap. But then, like, wait, what part was that at? So they'd have to rewind, go back, watch it again. They'd have to write down parts, times, so they knew exactly what point in time to do the joke at. So when I was researching all this, like they said on average they could spend, what did that article say? Like up to 6 hours on like a 2-hour movie. Just writing the jokes. That's not doing the delivery or anything else. So, and then if you think about how many seasons and how many episodes they did, that's hundreds of thousands of hours just dedicating yourself to your craft, and your craft is riffing movies. And it's just amazing on how they had to do this. Like, I mean, would you guys be able to do that? Like, I know, Justin, you said you'd sit around and you'd riff these movies, but would you be able to sit around and say, okay, I'm going to write this out, I'm going to make a career out of this?
No, I definitely wouldn't. My riffing is like, yeah. And so to actually put, you know, words and sentences together that make sense and are funny, well above me. So I bow down. And as they got used to their craft and perfecting it, like you said, like it just got funnier and funnier and funnier. And so the early episodes are definitely funny. But I think when they really hit their stride, you know, season 6, season 7, I mean, golden episode after golden episode, it's just amazing.
So let's talk about that. what episode for you really showed that they polished their craft? What was the episode that resonated with you that said they got their shit together? This is awesome.
Ooh.
You can take a minute. Kyle, do you know?
Oh, that's tough because I didn't. I haven't watched things like in order.
Right.
You know, I just grab them when I can watch them, and still, you know, the probably two that just really stand out to me that were great, and they're from, you know, different levels. Were, you know, the all time great Space Mutiny and Final Sacrifice with Rousdower, the Canadian Rambo.
Oh, yeah. Do you think there's beer on the sun?
Rousdower, you know, just those two. It's a hard line for me to draw between those two, but I'm still going. Just because it's my favorite, I'm sticking with Space Mutiny.
I think like Mitchell's the first one that I saw that had a recognizable person. Everything I'd seen up to that, I was like, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. And I'd seen Joe Don Baker before, and it was, you know, a gritty 70s crime drama with no crime or drama. So it's basically just a gritty 70s Joe Don Baker running around. That's the one that really just like, I was like, okay, this from start to finish was really good. But I think personally, the one that really really made, besides Mitchell, was probably Pod People, that I just laughed the entire time. And the jokes, the songs, that they parodied everything in there, it was just perfection. And there's a couple others that are on my favorite list, but I think yeah, Pod People, I think, is the one that I hold up as like, this is the mount. This is a perfection.
That's your trophy.
Yeah.
It's Trumpy, you can do stupid things.
For the people that aren't aware of what Pod People, picture like E.T. if E.T. had like a bloodlust for people and an even worse vocabulary.
And
that would be Trumpy. That's in.
And an elephant mated with ET. It is a it's a foreign flick. I don't know where exactly it's from, but it is just awful. Like one of the favorite quotes from there is Joel, like, the Schmucker's jelly. When he's talking about that, they're going to this cave and like they have a cat in there, and the little kid's like, naughty kitty, and they one of them yells out, "You must be spanked." Like, it's just, the delivery is just amazing. And Justin, you named the two that I would pick. It would be Mitchell, and Pod People probably is the polished one for me. And then, you know, you got Final Sacrifice. There's just so many you can pick, but I would say for me also Pod People, just from start to finish, is like, man, they've got their shit together. They really know what they're talking about, and they're just on. This makes me want to watch more.
So are there any others? So we mentioned Menos Hands of Fate. We mentioned Space Mutiny, Final Sacrifice, Mitchell.
Master Ninja,
Overdrawn at the Memory Bank.
Oh yeah, that's a good
the one that I can't ever remember the name of, and it is, well, I think we were going to get to what made us laugh the hardest. Or you guys talked about it before, and I still cannot remember the episode. And Chris has to remind me every time I bring it up. I remember it being a black and white movie they were watching, and they were on it was like a country setting. It was a guy and a girl. I think the guy was like a hitchhiker that ended up on the farm. He's with the farmer's daughter, and they're walking, and she's telling him about, you know, that it's a farm and all this, and he's like, well, what kind of? She's like, it's a ranch, and he's like, well, what kind of ranch is it? And she says, well, it's an acorn ranch. And then they riff him, well, how many head of acorn do you have around here? And that was probably the hardest laugh I ever got. And I still can't remember which freaking one that was. And it bugs me to this day. I've been told like 7 or 8 times. And
this is going to bug Justin now. I'm trying to remember what it is.
Doing my mental Rolodex and actually looking down, I'm like, oh, I know this.
I want to say that's the one. Was that the, not Touch of Satan?
No, that's one of my favorites.
I think it may have been.
Was it Touch of Satan?
No, Touch Satan isn't black and white.
That one was in color.
Yeah, it's the classic story of, boy meets girl, girl invites boy back home.
Oh, that's
Boy
funny.
ends up selling his soul to Satan to plow her, but with Undy's feathered hair. So that was definitely one of my favorites too. Is Touch of Satan.
I love Touch of
That's
Satan.
one I haven't seen in a long time.
Kyle's gonna be looking this up now till he finds it.
I'm
now,
looking
too.
up. I'm trying to use all
I
my
can see-
powers of Google food right now. Mystery
Well, I
Science
can see
Theater. How many head of
Justin's. I can see Justin's wheels turning too. He's trying to think of it. So I'll tell you another one of my all-time favorites is Gamera with Kenny and how much they hate that little kid. We hate you, Kenny. And Kenny kept going around, Gamera. Ah, there it is. I love that box set.
11.
For those
21. Because I can't do Roman numerals, apparently.
Of MST3K Gamera. But the cool thing is that they actually come with really cool artwork that's on the inside.
Yep.
Ooh.
Yep.
Movies that are extremely frameable because they look like the 50s style.
They're like tiny movie posters.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And servo in each of them, and so those are definitely cool.
I did find. I wish I would have brought those out. There was a promotion, and I got like 10 of the Mystery Science Theater little squishy balls that look like the logo. I wish I would have thought to bring those out. But yeah, Gamera is one of my all-time favorites too, as well as Puma Man or Puma Man.
I would say Time Chasers is also on my list.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you have a nerdy college professor that basically with a mullet and tries to make does actually makes a time vehicle with a single prop engine plane somehow, and basically makes Ashton Kutcher's Butterfly Effect look like a documentary. I mean, side note, I think one reason why is that the having a college professor as an action hero star protagonist is extremely realistic, and I just want to add that
It is.
Most college professors are just
they're dreamy.
Indiana Jones, so in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So
and mostly in Tulsa. So, side note on Time Chasers, they found out that Mystery Science Theater was going to do an episode on them, and they were so happy about it because the star was also the director and the writer. And they had this big party, got the cast together, and they thanked them, and then the episode aired, and they weren't quite as happy after.
Oh god.
And then they ended up riffing it live too for Rifftrax.
Well, one of the first lines, Crow comes in and says, "Joel, tell me this isn't the hero. Tell me." Because
yeah.
Director and star. So it just goes downhill from there.
It's great. If you haven't seen Time Chasers, that's a good one too.
Something you're talking about the studios either being behind it or not being behind it. Mm-hmm. And I actually had read this earlier today when I was doing some of my homework. Chris assigns me that the whole reason that a sequel to Hobgoblins was made was because of Mystery Science Theater, and it was actually it was a directed DVD film, but it was released by Shout Factory. So
Hobgoblins.
That's what pushed it forward. People wanted more apparently for some reason. So
I could have done without more Hobgoblins. So another interesting fact, flash fact.
Flash fact.
For those of you who like DC. Justin's gonna pull out something.
Flashback.
Nice flashback.
One within reach at all times.
What?
It's better to have a flash and not need it than need a flash and not have it. So.
Aww. Joe Don Baker actually has to this day a standing death threat against the show. What? Because they riffed Mittens, because Mittens was a good cop. They riffed it so hard he has a standing death threat to the show, which I find amazing.
Not scary in the least.
No, not at all. Mitchell was drunk a lot.
You can get drunk on Schlitz.
Yeah, you get Schlitz faced.
Do you have a cup? What's that? So yeah, interesting flashback. So now we get into the reboot. The reboot was done, and anyone have that pulled up by chance? Because I can't remember off the top of my head.
Reboot would have been seasons 11 through 12. Season 11 released April 14th of 2017 on Netflix. Well, that was, or was that the? Well, I guess that would have been the reboot. That's the Gauntlet, basically, right?
The Gauntlet was season 2 of the reboot.
Right. So they just call it.
Okay. Yeah, so that was 2017. So just a short time ago.
So it was called The Return, MST3K The Return. And that was rebooted with why am I blanking right now? The one with Felicia Day and Patton Oswalt, and is it Jonah Ray?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Baron Vaughn, and who was the other one? I'm blanking. I swear I had all these down, and now I'm blanking on this. Anyways, they rebooted the series, and for fans like us, it was phenomenal news because we'd gone for years without true Mystery Science Theater. When we get into the sprout offs of the show, you know, that was there, but it just wasn't Mystery Science Theater. If you don't have the Mads, you don't have the theme song. So it was great. What did you guys think of the reboot? Did you both watch the reboot? Let me put it that way.
I watched some, and I was being the hard-headed guy when I first watched a few that I was like, this isn't like I remember. And nothing against Jonah. Jonah was great. But I was missing some of that old, you know, it didn't feel quite the same to me. And I did a partial boycott for a while because like this is, you know, I want some of the old crew back. But I mean, I watched a couple episodes. I think I watched Reptilicus and what was it? I watched Mac and Me.
Yeah, Mac and Me Gauntlet. So that was the second season.
Yeah.
That was some of the biggest.
So I've came to terms. I'm ready to give it a second shot now.
So
Paul Rudd being interviewed on Conan O'Brien, you know Mac. So yeah.
Yes.
Justin, why don't you explain that for people who don't get that joke? Because to us, that's really funny.
So Mac and Me, there's this boy in a wheelchair, an alien, and you know all this stuff goes on. It's fun. But there's a scene where this boy in the wheelchair is going down a hill, and that's how we say hill in Oklahoma, heel.
Down the hill, down by the creek.
And in this basically goes off this big cliff. This boy, young boy, probably 10 years old, 12, in a wheelchair, goes off this cliff and, you know, invalid into water and all of that. And it's, you know, a scene. So Paul Rudd, the first time that he came on to Conan O'Brien, and this has been literally decades ago because that man never ages somehow.
No.
So he goes on to Conan O'Brien. He's like, well, I've got a clip of my show. And so he shows a clip, and it's that exact clip. And it just became an on-running joke that every time he would go on, Conan would be like, you're not going to show that other movie, right? And no. This, my producers have to do it or else I get fined. So this is my movie. Yeah, go ahead and play it. And it would be that same scene. And so they just show that over and over and over again. And it's such a classic callback.
He's done it like numerous times.
I'm sure that's one of the reasons. I'm sure Paul Rudd is one of the reasons why Mac and Me was chosen for the Gauntlet, because that is just in, you know, Nerdom history of being one of the funniest clips, and that's why.
I agree.
Mac and Me was just like basically E.T. was corporate sponsored by, was it McDonald's that showed up a lot in it, or Coca-Cola? McDonald's, right?
I think it's right, yeah.
Yeah. It was basically, McDonald's sponsored E.T. and it was so bad. But so
Basically,
good.
they got all the props from Dollar Tree.
Yeah. When you order
what it
your
was.
E.T. off Wish, is
Which that's exactly it. So out of the new episodes, there was Reptilicus was just a classic, and they had one of the best songs of all time from that. They did on one of the intermission clips. Every country has a monster, and if you haven't heard it, it's on Spotify. It's on Amazon Music. Go listen to it. Like, just give it a shot because it's actually brilliant. They go through all these countries and what their monster is, and it's just brilliant. And then my favorite episode. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, go ahead. Don't interrupt you.
I say no, interrupt anytime, dude. There's no point in this show unless we interrupt each other.
Yeah, so go ahead.
Do it.
One of the beauties of the reboot, the Return in the Gauntlet, is that they did incorporate a lot of music and they incorporated a lot of celebs in it. And so in the Gauntlet, my favorite one was Avalanche. Because it was actually, a 70s movie with people that you recognize. Oh, that's a star. And it's, an awful movie. But they had MPH, who is just a god, lowercase g, come in and sing with Felicia Day this song, and the on love is our love is on wings. There you go. And so it's all based on the subplot. It's not based on anything in the movie. It's based on the subplot of Felicia Day meets a guy online, and they're trying to she's trying to decide to meet, and she meets him. It's Neil Patrick Harris. But then he's like, well, we can't meet because I just love you too much, so we can't meet. And like it goes from there. So but that's, I think, one thing that the new ones have that I think is really interesting is that musical aspect. They bring in quite a bit of music. I personally would like to see Patton Oswalt utilized more because anything short of his Star Wars filibuster on Parks and Rec is him not being used enough. And
I
so
agree.
that's,
I agree.
I think I would like to see if they do continue. It was canceled, but there's rumors and things like that Chris is probably going to talk about. But if he does come back to play the son of TV Sprank, or the TV son of TV Sprank, then hopefully they give him a bigger role in that.
I would agree because I love Patton, and he's just everything about Patton, and he was underused in this show. He really was. My favorite episode out of all of the new reboots is Cry Wilderness, though. That is the one with the really, really questionable Bigfoot costume.
I think I did watch that one. No,
that is one of the best. I think that was done in the 80s, but it is just, that is probably one of the funniest ones, like pee in your pants funny, that I've ever seen. So Cry Wilderness, it's on Netflix. Go watch it. You will die. And then the other one I really liked from the reboot or the return was Star Crash, which was the Star Wars knockoff with the guy with the perm. And like the Princess Leia, who wore like the little itty bitty costume the whole time. And it's just like, what am I watching here? But it was gold. And then actually the last episode of that was Wizards of the Lost Kingdom, which honestly, I tried for years to find that one anyway, because I remember my grandmother recorded that off HBO on VHS, and I used to watch it all the time. And then they riff this, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about this because I really love this movie, but it's so bad. It's so incredibly bad.
So did you find that like hurt the nostalgia, or did that only increase? Or after you watched it, what did you think?
It kind of hurt the nostalgia a little bit.
Oh.
Just because, well, it's not because, when you're younger, you have this idea of what it is and how funny it was and how great it was. And you search, and I think it's because I literally searched for years and years and years to find this on DVD or Blu-ray, but no one had it because they couldn't secure the rights to it. And then I watch it again, and it's just like, it's not as good as I remember.
That's what I'm watching tonight now.
Which one? Wizards of the Lost Kingdom?
Mm-hmm. I think 1 and 2 is on there, so I may roll those both tonight.
If they riff The Last Starfighter, I will never watch it because my movie when I was little, and I don't think I could sit through and not cry if they make fun of that movie.
I would agree. No more Death Blossom.
I know it was never on Mystery Science Theater, but was there ever since we're on that tangent now, a Rifftrax of Rad done because it's
because
prime.
Because they just, and we will be doing an episode on Rad because I love Rad so much, and I'm making Kyle watch it. I made him watch it, and he riffed on it, so I'm making him rewatch it, so he loves it as much as I do. Because what was it you said that just killed me about Aunt Becky?
So I mean,
this
whole time,
is brilliant.
We're slightly off track, but you know what? Screw it, we're here. So I mean, the whole one of the subplots of it was, Crew's mom, who was, the same age as Crew, was really wanting him to go to college. And she was like, he was going to miss his makeup SAT to go ride on Hell Track and this big thing. And Lori Loughlin was his girlfriend that they fell in love after like 18 hours or something.
Young Aunt Becky.
And she's like, you need to, his mom's like, you need to go to college. And I'm thinking, like, you've got the perfect girlfriend to help you get into college right now. Like, Lori Loughlin will get you into college.
Protein, but hey,
he said that, and I started crying. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, I never even put that together.
Yeah, I'm gonna run that joke into the ground every episode. That's my good one.
You do that. You do that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's Rad would be prime. I admit that, but I love that movie so much. We'll go into that in another time. And how many copies I own of it.
What would be one that you would like to see done that hasn't been done, or hasn't been done at least to your knowledge?
That's a tough one.
And I'm going to say in Mystery Science Theater format, because there's just something about having the silhouettes down there that just make it that much better.
Because, if you specify like that, because Rifftrax has done literally thousands of movies.
Right.
And so that means they've already been done. But if you're talking Mystery Science Theater format, I think Green Lantern would be up there for me.
That'd be a good one. I was thinking it would be fun to have like a good movie that's funny and then have it put up. So I'd say like MacGruber or something like that, to where laughing and then they add another level to it. And I'm just like losing my mind and can't breathe. I'm laughing so hard. So I think that would be kind of cool to do.
I think it'd be cool to see something like really serious done. Like Academy Award winning, just accolades out the ass. Like
Schindler's List?
I would say Crash. I mean, that is
really shit. You want to see?
No, well, I don't. But
I was thinking
you said Academy Award winning.
Like Titanic would be great, but you're like Schindler's List. Let's go down that rabbit hole.
The best Marigold Hotel? I don't know.
I mean, that's something you riff in the privacy of your own home, Chris.
To specify, we don't actually riff on Schindler's List. We don't condone that.
We don't.
Chris
apparently does.
Apparently I do. But I'm just saying this.
Bags our sponsor for today.
Yeah. I'm going to need one when I go to the street. So no, I do not condone this, but you said Academy Award winning.
That's just where your mind. I was thinking, Titanic. I think Titanic would be great to get the treatment.
Speaking of Titanic, have you seen the YouTube video about Titanic where they start playing the My Heart Will Go On with like recorders like you'd have like in elementary, just the bad one? If you haven't, go watch that. You will die.
I think episode 1 would be a good one too.
I usually die anyway when I watch it, so
yeah, a little bit inside.
Yeah.
Are you talking Star Wars episode 1?
Yeah, I think Star Wars episode 1 would be a prime.
Phantom Menace, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's my answer now. That's where I'd go with it.
I want to see what they would do to Jar Jar. That's all. Like, just give it to him. Give him all of it.
Jar Jar, and when he goes and talks to Mitch McConnell in it, Boss Nass.
Give it all. Give it the full treatment. We need a petition for that. Let's get a Kickstarter going.
So
surely we can secure the rights to get that done somehow.
Are you listening to us? Probably not, but we're going to tell you are.
Looking through movies and wondering, but yeah, the Rise of Skywalker. I said the Last Skywalker. I meant the Rise of Skywalker. They should do that one too, because that
would be a good one.
Bastardizes everything.
I'm looking over at my stack too. Like, what else would be good? Evil Dead. The first original Evil Dead would be great. That would be phenomenal.
Actually, that
Or
would
just
be, wouldn't
anything
it?
with Bruce Campbell. Evil Dead, Bubba Hotep. It doesn't matter. Anything with Bruce Campbell would be.
No,
perfect.
not Bubba Hotep. Bubba Hotep's amazing.
That's a national treasure. You don't talk bad about Bubba
Bruce
Hotep.
Campbell is a national treasure.
He is.
Yes. Something like Gremlins. I think if they just had a whole 80s
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about Gremlins.
I'm looking at my list. I'm seeing shit like, okay, Bambi, no, maybe, but
man.
nope. I don't think. Yeah, I'm sticking with what I got.
I'll go with those. Now, damn it! Now I'm looking at these,
What do we got that we could?
and of course, the first one I'm looking at right here is Beavis and Butthead. No, not that
Yeah, I
one.
got that in my stack too.
Weird Science,
Oh yeah.
Any Tarantino movie?
Kill Bill.
Close throw a dart at anything that happened in the 80s, anything produced in the 80s. And I think it'd be great.
Over the top. Over the top would be great.
Oh, over the top, Cobra.
That works.
Yeah.
I still move my thumb. But if I'm doing something, I'll write, and then I'll just move my thumb and I'll
Time to do it.
write.
I can't see.
Watch over the top if you don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So season 1 versus the first season versus the Gauntlet, which Kyle, you haven't watched both all the way through. Justin,
No.
have you watched both all the way through?
Yes.
Okay. Which one would you go with?
I think just for sheer numbers, I would go with the Return because the
Mhm.
Gauntlet didn't have as many.
Right.
But Mac and Me being the first one in the Gauntlet, man, that makes it almost evens out everything. So, but I'm gonna go with the Return just out of sheer numbers because I'll watch anything and everything that's MST3K.
I will too, and I'll say the exact same reasoning. Our next point: did they cancel too early? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Which I don't
Mark that off the list.
understand. Well, and I don't understand why Netflix does that. Why they cancel stuff like the good stuff that's too early, but they do.
Well, Comedy
And
Central
it's-
did the same thing.
And so did Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
Comedy Central's notorious for it. I mean, like Futurama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's a whole nother thing. You don't get me going on that.
We're doing a Futurama episode too, and that's going to be multiple parts because it's just so massive. So now there's a new reboot of Mystery Science Theater. I actually got to see Joel. I've got video of Joel. It was on his birthday when he was in, I think it was it Midwest City? I think it was Midwest City. We drove down, 2 hours to go see it live. It was the last of the live shows. And my buddy Arthur actually, Lowenkamp, he actually texted me. He goes, "Hey, you remember that time we were laughing in the theater with like spit out loud laughter with tons of people a long time ago?" And that was like a year ago. That was literally a year ago.
Oh, man.
There was a time before the 2020s, before the crystal cracked, when we could all laugh together
Mhm.
and sit right next to each other. But they rebooted again, and the new host's name is Emily. She is the first female host of Mystery Science Theater, and she's really good. And they actually have I can't remember her name, but she's pulling double duty in it. She's Pearl's clone
Oh, that's I saw that just a second
from the
ago.
Gauntlet. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's really good too. And she's
Cynthia.
She is a tall lady because she picked Emily up with one hand during the live show and walked off with her, just one armed. And I'm just sitting here going, so I'm really excited to see where they're going to take the show because they also have Gypsy 2.0 on there, which she's smaller and a lot more. She's able to do a lot more. So she's not just that giant styrofoam head where they just move her. Yep. Like if you're watching, that's Gypsy where they just move her mouth.
Hopefully she gets more sassy too. Gypsy
Yeah, she does. Oh, 100%.
Good.
So let's go. I'm going to change the order on this right now. there was offshoots of Mystery Science Theater. There was Cinematic Titanic, which the girls and Joel did. It was the exact same format. It was just called Cinematic Titanic. The Mads have their own episodes, which they do. They still do live. They just had one. It was $10 online. They're getting ready to do another one next month too. So if you like the Mads, check those out. What were the other ones that you guys know of?
Well, are you counting Rifftrax with that too?
Absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, the Rifftrax definitely, and there was a time whenever actually Joel was doing one and Mike was doing one, Mike Nelson was doing, and they were almost competing. If I remember right, it was like the early 2010s in that range. And then, but now haven't they
Reconciled.
reconciled, and now they're working together again?
Mhm.
Right? And it all came down to
That's what I read, at least.
fees and money, of course, and all of that. But Rifftrax is also pretty good, and if you have Amazon Prime, there's a ton of them on Amazon Prime. You can just watch one after the other. So that was also really good.
So Rifftrax is Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy. They're all doing it. Like, their live shows are just amazing. Justin and I have seen each other at a couple live shows. And they're just phenomenal. Like, they've riffed, like I said, Time Chasers. They've riffed Manos, the Hands of Fate. They've done, you name it, they've done it. They're just a lot of fun. You used to have to, they had this app where it would link up with the movie. And that's how my wife and I watched The Room. If you haven't watched The Room Rift, you need to. That is probably one of the best ones. I also watched, have you guys seen Santa Claus and the Ice Cream Bunny?
Yes.
That's on Prime. You need to watch that one. It is a foreign film. You know, that seems to be a big tie-in half the time. But Santa Claus gets stuck on the beach, and they actually changed what the short was, or the mini movie within the movie, for Rifftrax, which the one I saw was Jack and the Beanstalk. But it is just awful. It was filmed at this old amusement park, I guess, that's no longer around. And like, there was like standing water everywhere in it. It was awful. But Santa Claus versus the Ice Cream Bunny was good. And that guy who directed that also did another one. It was like a Wizard of Oz parody. And Rifftrax did a parody of that one. And that is like a couple of the jokes are some of the most adult jokes I've ever heard Rifftrax do. But it is great. If you all haven't seen that one, go see watch the Wizard of Oz one.
You had me thinking, it finally clicked with me, a movie that I thought would have been great for them to do. And it looks like they did do, there was a Rifftrax version of it. It was called Night of the Lepus, or Lepus, whatever Latin for rabbit is. And basically, it's like these killer flesh-eating rabbits take over a town and start killing everybody. And the costumes are horrible. There's like, it's obviously a dude in a bunny suit, like jumping on people and stuff. Like, man, that would be a great. And they did. There's a Rifftrax version out there, so I'm going to.
Is it really? I'm gonna have to watch that now.
The movie's terribly awesome by itself, but now I have to watch this.
So yeah, I mean, there's those shows right there, and then that's kind of our life after cancellation on what their cast has been doing. They've done a couple GoFundMes, or they usually do GoFundMes to raise money, and they usually always meet and exceed it, just because it's a great time. Even if you're not into this sort of thing, you know, that's kind of the whole point of this podcast, is to introduce you to stuff you didn't know about. Challenge yourself. Go out, you know, rent it, see if you like it. You might surprise yourself.
Yeah, watch it on Pluto for free.
Watch it on Pluto for free. Go to Twitch. Watch it for free.
And it's not all like sci-fi. If you love romance, there's some romance watch time.
I think there's a little bit of romance in every movie, actually. If you look hard enough, if you listen to your heart, there's romance in every episode.
Romance and matrimony, because I would that disturbs me. But it's really interesting that they all go through a bunch of different genres. So yeah, like what Chris is saying, definitely if it's something that seems like this might be something I like, but I don't like space movies. Well, there's just a few space movies. There's so many other genres out there that it's really worth checking out. Rifftrax, MST3K, all of these different ones, and seeing. And honestly, everyone that I've shown different movies to that I think that they'll like, even the bad ones, there's parts of it they're like, okay, this is actually pretty funny. And so it's very rare to find someone that doesn't like any of the riff tracks, the MST3K, any of the Mad stuff, because it is just so well written, so funny.
I stand behind that statement. So if you guys had to pick your top 3 episodes of Mystery Science Theater, this is Mystery Science Theater because we're talking about MST3K, not Rifftrax or any of those. What would your top 3 episodes be?
Man, I'm gonna go with. I've got a tie for third, but I'm going with Space Mutiny, Master Ninja, and my ties between Overdrawn, The Memory Bank, and Final Sacrifice. I think I like Final Sacrifice better. I think it's funnier, but I also like Overdrawn at the Memory Bank because it has Raul Julia in it. Master Ninja has Lee Van Cleef and Demi Moore, and so you got some star power there. And but I think I'm going Space Mutiny, Master Ninja, and Final Sacrifice. Final Sacrifice just because I have some really good memories of watching that one several times over and over with one of my friends, and it's one of those that we still quote back and forth to each other.
All right, Justin.
When someone asks you what your favorite book is, you never say the Bible because it's just like, okay, well, yeah, we know it's that. So what's
right?
Yeah, right. So things like Manos, Hands of Fate, Space Mutiny, there's certain ones that are just like classic. So I'm gonna try to go for a couple that are a little less known, I guess, or that I thought maybe you guys would have mentioned. And I actually mentioned them a little bit earlier, but Pod People, Touch of Satan, Time Chasers, Mitchell, I think is by far my number one. But yeah, I would say if anyone was making a list, listening to this and making a list from our top 3s, mine would probably be Pod People, Touch of Satan, and probably Mitchell.
Nice.
Just a touch of Satan.
Just a little bit of touch. It's just a little touch. So my number 3 would be Mr. B Natural. He's the clearest bee you've ever seen. Whatever it is, I effed that up. But it's still a great episode. It's about the love of a girl boy, I believe that they said, and sneaking into the room of a young teenage boy, teaching him how to play the trumpet. And his name was Buzz. And one of my favorite lines from that was, that day after school, the Midvale police find out why they call him Buzz. And I love Mr. B Natural. I would say number 2 would be Space Mutiny for me. And then number 1 would be Mitchell. Just because I love those. Like, those are the ones I can always go back to and watch over and over and over again. You just, especially with Mystery Science Theater, you have those certain episodes that, it was good. I can watch it once. Like Samson versus the Vampire Women. I can watch that, once a year.
Girl with the Gold Boots.
Girl with the Gold Boot. Yeah. Side Hackers. I could do without Side Hackers, but then some, it's like, okay, I could literally watch every week. So,
that's how I was with Space Mutiny. I used to go back once a month. Like, that's my comfort food. Like, I'm having a bad day. I'm going to watch Space Mutiny, and now I have a great day. That's mine. I get the same feeling.
So, and Justin, if you didn't, I don't know if you remember from the first episode, but one of our goals is to try and get Reb Brown on this show.
Right.
So we really, really want to get Reb Brown on here.
Nice. I didn't know until you told me that him and Sissy, what's her last name?
Dr. Lady
were like married in real life, and she's younger than him.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Does she still just wear the short skirts and all that, or?
God, I hope so. I'm just
Itchy, itchy, itchy. Pantyhose are itchy.
pantyhose are itchy.
But yeah, no. So that's one of our goals is try and get him on the show.
I mean, if we can't get him, maybe we can get Officer Armadillo Trousers in.
Oh, Calgon, take me away. Okay, so you don't have to do 3, but if you have top 3 quotes from Mystery Science Theater, what would they be? If you only have 1, just do 1. But what would your top thing be? Quote.
Well, I mentioned one already with the "it stinks"
It's
from Pod People, so I'm gonna put that down as one. I literally could for the next hour and a half just quote all of Mitchell. But 2 of my favorites from that were the Greta, the love interest, which is sickening enough, of Joe Don Baker, that he had a love interest at all. She's mad at him, so she writes "jerk" on his car. And it like pans over and he sees her, and Crow says, "Word on the street is you're a jerk." Killed me. So, and then the other is Mitchell's breaking into a house that has a door with a window pane on it, and he broke in with a glass, and the second time they just put aluminum foil over it.
Yes.
Fists go through it, and Servo says,
liquid metal.
no, it's a Reynolds wrap. Keeps freshness in, can't keep
Mitchell out. Yeah.
But I think Space Mutiny, of course, was great. But I think instead of having just one specific quote, I went through and found all of the different alternate names they had.
You found the list?
For Dave Ryder? Yep.
Found the list. And so for those that haven't seen it, there's this picture Dolph Lundgren, but in even worse actor. Big blonde hairy guy that's just awful acting. So they go through and they give all these different names to him.
It screams like a little girl, like really high.
So like I won't read them all because there is a ton, but things like slap bulkhead, fridge large meat, butch deadlift,
Big McClark huge,
rip steak face, blast hard cheese, fist rock bone, stump beef knob. I mean, there's
Bob Johnson.
They have 40 different throughout the entire movie. Every time he would come on the screen, they would have a different name for him, and it just, again, the on-running joke just killed me. So those would probably be mine.
Okay, well, one of mine is actually, it's also from Space Mutiny, and it's when Calgon is talking to McPherson, and it was like right after the shuttle landed and everything blew up, and they're talking about how it like all went down, and how they were lucky to, like they got the spaceship and it took out the winch system, I think, for the docking bay, and he's like you should have seen it, and it was like 2 for 1, and then you just hear, "We had a coupon." It kills me every time. Probably that, and then on Final Sacrifice, I'm going to misquote it a little bit, but it's when I think they were talking to the kid, or no, they were reading the screen, and like, "Mom, one more sacrifice." "Well, okay, but this is the final one." And just anytime they would say Rousdower, and just read his name off.
In the way they said it. So one of mine would be from The Day the Earth Froze with the Sampo. It's when he was rowing in his canoe and they go, "Oh, nice canoe. What's it made out of? Wood." That one kills me every time. Another one is from Space Mutiny. When Dave Ryder is jumping down in the big fight scene and he screams for the second time, like a little girl. And the first time they go, "What was that?" And then he goes, "Ah!" And then they go, "My purse." And I don't know why that kills me. And then probably and Mitchell is just so quotable. Like a couple of my favorites are when he shot the guy on the golf course and they go, "He fell just shy of the green." Or when the guy who looks like Andy Kaufman and they keep going, "You're so stupid. You're so stupid. Thank you very much." Like his character from Taxi, that always kills me every single time too. So those are probably my 3. Like it's hard to say just 3, but since I'm forcing everyone to pick 3, that's what we're doing. So you have literally heard us rambling on for well over an hour. I don't know how far. How far are we into this?
We are about the hour 45-minute mark.
Oh, so, good. We're
thanks for making it this long.
Thanks for sticking with us. Now is one of our favorite times on the show. It is
the
called.
End. Oh no, it's not.
The end. You're canceled. We call it Nerdom. 2 nerds enter, 1 nerd leaves.
How's my Nerdom? Oh, and then the other nerd leaves, but he's sad because
he messed it up.
I got sidetracked. Well, I was like, when we brought up the Nerdom again, I was wanting to see where my standing is from episode 1, and I'm winning by 1 vote right now.
Are you really?
Yeah,
Zoidberg. For 1 vote, I'm gonna take a drink.
It's 3-2 Zoidberg right now. So
is it really? Zoidberg doesn't have any hands.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The
How's
people
he gonna bake a cake?
The people have spoken. 3-2 Zoidberg.
If you voted for Zoidberg, you are wrong. I'm sorry.
I voted for Zoidberg. I voted for myself.
That's why you voted. I didn't vote for. I'm gonna go vote later. I was keeping it fair.
That's totally fair.
Okay. So this is where we have a list of random characters, random locations, and random scenarios. In the battle, we don't know any of the information except for what we put in the generator.
Mm-hmm. So we're taking it a little step beyond your typical, who's going to kick whose ass battle, and we're really going to tap into our knowledge. We have roughly, I think, 80 characters, 80 combatants from pop and nerd culture. I think we're both fairly confident with about 85% of the characters we put on the list. So there's some that we may pull a little bit out of our ass. That's totally fine. But we try to make an argument over why our random selection will win at the selected activity, and then afterwards we'll have a poll out once the episode goes live, and you guys can vote on that in the Discord and let us know who you think won. So,
and
this time
we're adding in a third for this one. Is Justin is going to participate. So whenever we have a guest,
1v1.
Yep. Whenever we have a guest, we're going to let them play.
All right.
Unless they
I'm
suck,
guessing
then
you
we
didn't.
won't let you play.
I'm guessing you didn't tell him this information.
No, I didn't.
No,
this is why. This is why it's going to be fun.
All right.
Excuse me.
Okay. For you guys to warm up on.
Okay, so you guys can see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
And all right, so Justin is the guest, so he gets the first spin.
All right, and so remind me.
Zoidberg is the popular one.
Zoidberg is the popular one.
That's
all right.
Really.
Are we leaving Zoidberg?
I would say, since you guys voted on him last week and talked about him last week.
Well, we'll do it again. How about that?
So,
what are the odds?
Give a minute speech about.
Okay, hold on. Let me.
Wow.
Yeah, that is. Let's shuffle that. It was Zoidberg again.
Damn it!
Justin gets Ash Williams. Ash Williams is our titular hero of the Evil Dead series.
All right, and so remind me what I'm doing.
After we will, we all get a character, and then we'll go into the next wheel. That'll pick the location.
Okay.
And then we'll go to the next wheel, which will pick the activity that they're doing.
Oh man, I feel really about Ash Williams. Okay.
And here's the thing. The reason we did it this way is because it doesn't give an advantage to anyone. They could be baking a cake. They could be shining shoes.
Okay.
So
underwater basket weaving.
Underwater. That's an option on here. So And what makes it fun is you don't get any time to think about it. It's literally we're spinning, then you go.
Okay.
Okay. So Kyle, since you're ahead 3-2, you're next.
Okay.
3-2.
Oh.
Leia Organa or Princess Leia.
I can run with this.
A little known fact, he is wearing the Princess Leia bikini from Return of the Jedi right now underneath his shirt.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's show
hot.
night. I've got to.
It is show night.
It's because it's homage to a Friends episode, not to actual Star Wars.
Yeah. You should.
I'm just glad I got somebody I know.
Darth Vader.
Oh.
Oh.
This may or may not work in my advantage, especially if it's like underwater basket weaving. Okay. We all got who we have. Now let's pick the location. Is the Great Pyramid.
Feel Ash is getting a slight advantage here for some reason.
I completely feel Ash is getting the advantage on this one.
Oh, now you're me up.
Now this is the big one. This is the
big one.
activity. Professional wrestling.
I got this.
Okay, so we have Darth Vader versus Princess Leia versus Ash in the Great Pyramids. Professional wrestling.
Are we doing this Royal Rumble style? Where are we?
We're doing this Royal Rumble style.
Okay. Let's see. So you go ahead. You lead off there, Chris.
Okay, I lead off.
Just a little bit of time to think.
So Darth Vader first touches down on the request of the Emperor. He says you need to go to planet Aarth and go to this big pyramid. They don't know what it's called. Aarth. They don't know what it's called.
Oh my God. Okay.
Hey, you know what? This is my story.
No, this is your
We're
story.
going with
Go
it.
ahead. Go with it.
He arrives out. The stormtroopers come out, and you hear the. He has to walk out. That alone is going to give him an advantage because he's not going to have to breathe as heavy. He has oxygen constantly coming into his body, which are supercharging his muscles. He is going to be able to do the professional wrestling. Number one, Leia's his daughter. He can just demolish her with the Force or picking her up. He's shown that he has extremely enhanced strength, whether that be from the body armor or by using the Force. And Vader was a big man to begin with. Anakin was a big guy. He was very muscular to begin with. As you guys can tell, I'm completely pulling this out of my ass because I actually don't think Vader would win a professional wrestling match. He has the body armor. So anything you try and hit him with a chair, you try and hit him, do a pile driver on him. He has a helmet already. That's not going to hurt his head. That's going to protect him from concussions. He's going to be able to throw any person up against the rope, like Ash. Ash has only got one hand, that one-handed bastard. If he had his hand, he'd pull it off. He could use the Force to choke Ash with his own hand. Yeah, that's kind of his thing. He could use it to choke Ash himself. What's Leia going to do? Vader's going to throw her in the air, and then what's she going to do like in The Last Jedi? Oh, what's she going to do? She's going to do that amazing Superman thing where she flies out and back into the ring. I don't think so. That's not what Leia is. Leia was a princess. She was a diplomat. She's going to try and talk her way out of this. She won't talk her way out of this. Ash is only good against the undead. Ash won't be able to face the menace of space, the guy who is a Darth Lord. He is a Sith master. He's kind
of undead in a sense, though. Like he's, you know what? That's for Ash. That is for Ash. You just gave Ash a free one.
That's
fine. I've got this in the bag.
So that's why I think Vader would win. Kyle.
Okay. So, first off, huge advantage against her two opponents. Leia has both of her hands. Both of her human hands. Right? Leia is adapt to sand. I mean, we're at the Great Pyramids. We're talking Egypt. It's sandy. She's already fought in that type of environment. She's already been there. She has the attire with the bikini, which is going to be a detriment to Ash. He's going to be too distracted by her beauty to be able to do anything. Vader is not going to want to strike his own daughter. He's not going to want to do that. He's not going to want to fight his own daughter. She's going to have the daddy leverage there. And so I think 1, adaptness to the environment. 2, increased agility due to her attire. 3, the daddy factor. 4, she has both of her hands, so she's going to be able to grapple a whole lot better. And then, yeah, she's really going to, I think she's going to, pull the move off on Ash to where he's not even going to be able to battle. And plus, if we're going around that time, I think, no, I won't go there with it. But, I'll tell you my thought on that other part after show. I don't want to lose a lot of our audience, but all whatever 60 of them. But yeah, I think increased mobility, use of both of her hands, adaptness to the environment, daddy factor, and I mean, yeah, Ash is semi Han Solo ish, and she was able to break him down pretty easy to, wrap him around her finger. So she'll be able to do the same thing with Ash. Hands down, Victor to the princess.
Justin.
All right. Well, I appreciate you both making this easy on me. Because
That's what we're here to do.
is going to win hands down. So he's driving to the pyramids, the Great Pyramid, because he has just obtained the Book of the Dead. That's how an Oklahoman says it. Book
The dad.
Dead.
Necronomicon.
He possessed the Book of the Dead, and he's driving to the Great Pyramids because he hears about Darth and Leia there, and he needs to establish his dominance. So as he pulls up in his 73 Oldsmobile, he gets out and says, hey, what's up, baby? You look groovy to Leia, and Leia is off. Like, she's like, swoon, pennies off, we're off, it's done. So I don't even have to worry about Leia because, like you said, he's a Han Solo type. And so she just wants to touch his boomstick, if you know what we're talking about. So
Oh, yeah.
Groovy.
Peter and says, I can handle this because I have the Book of the Dead, and I'm able to have all of these, you have the Force, whatever, I got the Book of the Dead. So he would be able to overcome anything with the Force, shield it, and then also hurt Vader with the Book of the Dead. And of course, uses his boomstick to take out a few of the legs, I'm sure. And as he's taking out the legs, he's going to just rub it in his face and say, "You were my brother!" And finish it off with "Hail to the King, baby," and just be done with it.
Who wins?
Okay, so we're going to put that poll out in the Discord. If you guys are not a member, we'll have links where you can find those. Join the Discord. Agree to the rules so you can participate in the fun activities that we have going there, and vote for Princess Leia as the victor. We'll have that up as soon as the episode is gone. I really don't think we have anything else to say after that. Really, honestly, I think that really kind of wraps that part up.
Yeah, don't let him bully you. Okay, Kyle, what are you reading or watching this week?
I am still the perennial working through Cowboy Bebop. I did watch both episodes of WandaVision, which we'll be talking about soon. Reading, I'm absolutely reading nothing right now. I think this following
You
week
don't
I'm
have to
going to
pick
pick
one
up.
or the other.
Yeah, well, you're giving me so much damn homework, dude. There's so much stuff to do. I'll probably pick up Lock and Key Volume 1 and reread through that,
Nice.
so I can get the rest of the volumes and dive back in that. But I also got my Compendium 1 and 2 of The Walking Dead back from my nephews that I let borrow, and I think those go through issue like 101 or 110, and so I'm really tempted to reread those again. So there's a lot of stuff out there.
Justin, what are you watching or reading this week?
As far as reading, I mentioned a little earlier, I'm teaching Watchmen in my intro lit, and so it's been it's been a couple years since I really dived into that. So, and watching the HBO series, which is excellent, of The Watchmen, set in Tulsa. It really renewed my want to read it, and then also everything going on in the world politically and everything else. Well, I'm not just necessarily the world, everything going on in the U.S. Politically for the last several years plays perfectly into The Watchmen. So if you haven't read The Watchmen, not the Zack Snyder movie, it's okay, but the actual graphic novel, you'll see many of the things that were happening in the 80s and what he perceived to happen that actually, 4 years later definitely did. As far as what I'm watching, kind of a guilty pleasure. Um, Whenever I've gone through and watched everything that's new, and I'm just like, two of my favorites to go back is one is Young Justice. It's a
Yes.
DC cartoon that's on HBO Max. And with season 3, it was new on DC Universe, and it is so good.
R.I.P.
Yeah, I know. Hopefully they'll bring back. We'll see. We'll see. But if you liked, you know, Justice League, if you liked Super Friends, like back in the day, that was my show way back in the day. Then this has a little bit of that nostalgia. You'll see the Justice League, but it's more of the new members coming in. So I would highly recommend doing that because that's kind of my comfort food. That and the other that I've been watching is I've been going back and trying to watch every episode of Next Generation. It's been a while since I've done that, and I'm finding that I just love it more and more the more I watch it. So yeah, I'm in kind of that nostalgic comfort food area of watching things right now, and I couldn't be happier.
So, flash fact, they did announce season 4 of Young Justice this year.
I didn't see that. Oh.
Yep. So that will be this year. What I watched this week was WandaVision. Stay tuned. We are going to have a bonus episode after this episode. Not in the same one. It's going to be a separate category. That way it doesn't ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, because there will be spoilers. There will be spoilers and what our predictions will be. But I watched WandaVision, and that was just phenomenal. It's completely unlike anything else that the MCU's ever done. It's the first original content. So on TV. So we're watching that. And then what I read this week was my manga was back through Shonen. So I read, every single thing that came out this week. So One Piece was in there. So that's what I was reading, which made me happy. Justin, one thing we close up the show with is something that I learned this week. It can be anything. It could be the stupidest thing. It can be the coolest thing. It doesn't have to be relevant to anything. So what is something that you learned this week?
I learned that Kyle is my brother in Nerdom. So you are now a part of me, and I'm a part of you. So
Ooh, that's nice.
Coming into this, how I feel like you're a kindred spirit. So
I love this. That's
Don't
awesome.
encourage him. Don't encourage him.
No, I needed that. I need the little boost today. Like, I think if we could get his hair and my beard together, and we just leave. Chris, you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay, sure. Leave scraggly over here. Leave dirty over here.
I mean, Justin, you want to start your own podcast, or what do you got going on? You want?
And thank you all for joining us. Kyle, what'd you learn this week?
I learned doing a little bit of Mystery Science Theater research and going back and touching up on one of my favorite episodes, which was Master Ninja. In the beginning, they're rolling through and talking about, you see the early credit rolls and who's starring in it. And one of the people in Master Ninja is an actor by the name of Clu Gallagher. Okay, so Clu Gallagher is in Master Ninja. I think he plays a small part. I don't remember exactly who he plays, but he is also an Oklahoma native, first cousin of Will Rogers, and is from my current hometown. So I found that was actually really cool. I'd heard the name before, and I think I'd heard it around town because I don't live in a very large town. But when I saw that, I was like, "Ooh, I've heard that name." And I looked up, and it's like, "I'll be damned, that's here." So
that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
What I've learned this week, I have learned that writing talking points for a podcast and trying to figure out how to set up your Twitch stream and just everything that goes with this stuff that we're doing right now is not easy. What you see on YouTube, what you listen to, they make it seem really easy. It's not. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. This kind of stuff is fun to me. So I learned that it's appearances can be deceiving. They make it look really easy, but it's not.
Are you gonna do a shameless plug for your Twitch channel? Because I think you should.
No, not until I do more than one episode and figure it out how to do it better. I did stream for the first time last week, and we played In Silence. And I screamed like a little girl, and I may or may not have squeezed a fart out from screaming so loud.
It was beautiful.
And I freely admit this. My wife came running from across the house because she thought I either hurt myself or I was really mad at something because I yelled so loud. That game is just frightening. It really is. So I will shamelessly plug it later. So with that, gang, thank you for turning in to this extremely long episode of Mystery Science Theater. We'll do more based off of episodes and just down the line, but we appreciate you being here. With that, I'm Chris.
I'm Kyle, and thanks to our guest Justin for taking the time out to sit in and ramble with us. I had a great time. I had an absolutely great time.
Thank you for joining us, sir. And with that, next week's episode we will be discussing the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or the MCU. So tune in, or you don't have to, but we'd appreciate it if you would.
Yeah, that will probably be a multi-parter. There's a lot to cover.
Yeah, probably will. So, all right. Well, with that, thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys.
It could get elevated. Nerdcore could rise up. It could get elevated. Nerdcore used to be just a made-up word. MCs shied away from belief. Rest assured they sleep hard.